How, what is your favorite technique for? Is it lucid through lucid dreams, or do you like you don't have to tell me your whole process, I suppose, but do you do binaural beats?
So when I'm in a dream and the construct of the dream doesn't feel like my construct, now I'm like, wait a minute, there's something up here. So I'll try to force myself out of body or back to my body, just like wake up, and then I'll literally see the being next to me without fail, because they often have to be next to you, projecting their mind into your mind to control your dream.
Do you think there'll be a time where they merge and we are actively as human beings on this planet talking to other beings, or do you think
I think
it'll
so.
always kind of be? You do?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's gonna happen at some
Oh
point.
wow, I hope it does.
I think it kind of has to happen. I do get a little nervous when I talk about them too, because I think sometimes it kind of puts me on their wavelength a little bit, just a little bit. And so you kind of want to make sure that you're not really thinking about them. In the Bible, they say not to pray using words because things can hear your prayers. They're going to probably show up like the devil, essentially, This is a deep question I don't usually talk about. It's kind of made my brain. How can I put it?
Static in the mind, but the signal's clear. Close both eyes and you disappear. Slide through the seams and reality screen. Wake up inside of an in-between. I'm not here to preach a story you can't feel.
I got a question for you.
Hmm.
And it might be just a super easy answer for someone like you, but it is fascinating to me how different the astral realm is, depending on who you are and your perspective and your belief systems. I thought that once I started interviewing people, um, it would be kind of like this one place that's easy to map. And there's realms 1, 2, 3, or 4, and there's this, location, and there's that location. And the more I talk to people, I was like, wait, why are you experiencing something totally different than others in this space? Like if you talk to someone like Darius, Darius G, right? He talks about going out of the construct, and he's on something totally different. And then you talk
Yeah.
to another person, and uh, it's just fascinating to me, man. And I don't understand that. And why do you think that happens? Is it just all purely based off your beliefs? I mean, is that the thing that's tying this all together? It depends on what you think.
So I'm so glad you brought this up, because I was actually having a shower thinking about how I was going to share this. Because my views on the dimensions being planes, I've since dropped those completely.
Mm.
Even some of the terms around the different bodies that you have to traverse these planes. I remember I was heading this direction way in the beginning, but at the time it was just very confusing, like trying to figure out how to phrase it in a way that would make people understand without them
Mhm.
thinking that astral projection was all like in your head or
Mhm.
wasn't real. Um, but since then I just keep having this same encounter with this experience, whether it's self-induced astral projections or on psychedelics or just usual meditations, just the usual meditations like Tradak, for example, that have you experience reality for what it actually is. So much so to the point where I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm gonna start describing it as how I'm experiencing it. I don't experience it as planes. I seem to experience it as a field. Have you heard of the unified field theory?
I mean, it's no, I wouldn't be able to like rip off right now what it's about. So
No,
tell me about it.
yeah, I'll make I'll make it make sense from a psychedelic perspective. You ever taken DMT?
Hmm.
Yeah. You ever gone to the point where you do it with your eyes open and you see reality melt away?
I've done it twice. One was a horrible experience, and one was a good experience. But I would say they were very short lived. I didn't press it, meaning like I didn't really push. I know some people like they do a hit and they come out and they do another hit and they go deeper and deeper. I'd say it was pretty surface level, my experience with
Right.
it.
So with certain psychedelics, whether it's DMT, San Pedro, acid could do it to you, and even astral projection, out of body experiences. What the common experience is that reality will turn into sacred geometry and then it'll
Mm.
fall apart, revealing that nothing was ever real in the first place. It also just a simulation that was materialized in front of you for you to have an experience, right? And so the unified field theory is based on this idea that reality as itself is just a construct that emerges from a field. The unified field theory is huge. It's the field that encompasses everyone's collective experience, including the many different experiences inside of this one experience. So I'm talking about like life after death, how that plays out after you die, the things that you experience over there. Um, it's all shown to you based on your expectation, sometimes your intention, especially if you're a traveler out there. The reason why I bring this up is because I've recently been playing with different cultures' techniques to have out-of-body experiences, from Mopai, which is a form of like Negong, um, Merpati, which is an Indonesian martial art, vibration awareness. It's the ability to basically make your field so large that you can, with the blindfold on, feel the environment around you, colors. You'll know where things are by using your field, really getting a good, strong grasp on that idea of having an actual field, a local field, and using that. And I've noticed some connections when it comes to my own astral projection experiences and this vibratory state that happens when we're in the hypnagogic space, which is when you have enough energy. In the beginning, if you're not in control and you don't have a variety of techniques, it will just kind of come out, and you may have enough energy, you may not have enough energy. You might feel it builds within the solar plexus and doesn't quite move up and come out properly. Maybe it'll happen here and just kind of fizz out, and you'll not feel the contours of your face anymore, or your arms or your legs. It's the same when it comes to Mopai. It's the same when it comes to Merpati. They all have astral projection stages, which lean on this idea of a local field going beyond the physical body, so much so that its vibration dulls your senses of the physical body. If you imagine having an electromagnetic field, let's say it's electromagnetic. I'm not sure if it's electromagnetic, but let's say you have this field that comes out of the body and it's vibrating at such a rate that you can no longer feel your hands or your feet, right? It's that vibratory. That moment seems to, I guess you can use the word, decouple our consciousness from this experience of 3D. That is when you're in the hypnagogic space. And because it's gone past your limbs, that field then, based on your intention, will then show you what it is you intend to see. So the field will collapse into a specific experience. This is why when you're in the hypnagogic state, everything will kind of go black and you feel like you're just kind of either sinking into yourself, sinking into the energy, or you'll feel like you're sliding out based on what the unified field deems necessary for your understanding of an out-of-body experience. I made 2 points here that I hope I remember going into this. One is intention versus AOL. AOL is a term known as analytical overlay within the remote viewing communities. This is something that has been noticed way beyond the CIA started experimenting with astral projection and remote viewing. It's the ability to accidentally project a subconscious expectation onto a psychic ability. So whether it's remote viewing, seeing a location from halfway across the world, or it's actually more a deeper state, like leaving the body and seeing things that seem to be distorting the experience, or even psychometry, touching a book and getting memories of who owned that book. This brain, the left side of the brain, the logical side of the brain, has this annoying tendency to, because we kind of look for something, maybe we're out of body, right? And we say, let's see if the earth is flat or round. So you then try to look for the answer. That engages the left side of the brain, which then engages analytical overlay. Your mind starts to project from the subconscious and expectation. What I've noticed is a lot of people project what they think exists in the world into the astral space and then say that that is an actual experience because they don't have the ability to recognize these AOLs, analytical overlays. It's the same for psychometry. It's the same for remote viewing. It's the same for clairvoyance, seeing the future. But when one can train themselves not to do that, then what they see is a true representation of what exists in the field. And the field has memories from all points in time, the past, the present, the future. Everything that's already existed, always will exist, exists there and now. This is when you get into the idea of it being some form of an Akashic record.
Mhm.
And so there's this moment where a projectioner should notice that they can influence the astral plane by accident, and then they can learn not to do that. Usually learning other skills, other abilities helps them gain some control over their AOL process. But essentially, I don't know where I was going there. I kind of lost track. I knew I was going to forget one of those two things, but I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, I think you explained my question of why does everybody see something different? And I think that is why, like what you're saying. And then a lot of times not even aware that that's what they're doing. So,
Oh, I remember now. If the person consecutively projects AOLs, so they're following this is term in remote viewing. Can't quite remember what it is, but it's when the AOLs start to feed into themselves, and now the mind is following a story. The
Mhm.
projectioner can fall into a lucid dream. So they'll start going into the body again, or perceivably into the body. Their field will collapse, and they'll find themselves just lucid dreaming the entire time. You know. And when it comes to planes, like I said, I've removed that idea completely, because what I've noticed is if you change the frequency of your local field, extend it past the body, you'll end up collapsing the, say, astral plane into a different experience. Lower vibrational realms, higher vibrational realms. It seems to be based on your frequency and how fast you can get it to oscillate, you know? Positive emotions help, of course. Memory can serve as a good anchor point too. If you've already been to a specific location, so to speak, then simply intending without expecting to know what it looks like and or what you're going to experience will allow that field to collapse, and then you'll be presented with that experience. And so astral projection seems to allow us to unbuckle from this world, much like how many psychedelics do. Um, it's very strange. And even beings that come into the astral space, if you watch it happen in real time, it's not like they're really coming from someplace else. It's more like their presence has to be collapsed into the space around you. They take on a form and then you speak to them. And that also happens on DMT and other psychedelics too. It's not to say that you can't see entities coming from other places, but sometimes when you're in this kind of field space, you see the mechanics play out.
What do you think is happening when people see consistent beings? Like they're often referred to as like gnomes, right? Like they're very geometrical, especially on DMT. I saw those beings, and I remember it's they were very they were like little jesters, man, and they were laughing. And so I don't know if it's because I heard of that prior to me doing DMT, which is why I saw that. I don't remember
Mm.
hearing about that. I can't like pinpoint a moment where I that I yet consciously remember doing that, but I will tell you, they were specific beings, and they were in shapes I've never seen before, and they were playful. Like, they were kinda like yeah, they were playful would be, like, the energy I got from them, and then I've since heard of so many other people seeing similar beings. I'm like, "Whoa, what is happening there, you think?" Have you seen those beings? Do you know what I'm
Yeah,
talking about?
yeah, yeah. I've seen them during DMT experiences and astral projection experiences. Um, I've been fortunate enough to kind of grow up with little gnome experiences at different rates. Because when you're on DMT, it happens really quick sometimes.
Mhm.
But with astral projection, you may be visited with just like one or a
Yeah.
handful. And so you get to see them kind of cross over into that space. Uh, the, from what I can understand, this is something I really like about it, is that they don't actually look like that where they come from.
So they're doing that for
It's
us so that we can or so that we don't freak out probably. We're probably not
no, no,
used
no,
to,
no,
like,
no.
what.
It's the effect of this dimension. It's what this
Oh.
plane has on them, or what the plane that we reside in at the time when we're having those interactions have on
Oh,
them.
interesting.
And so you can actually see them. They're more how can I say, disembodied. They morph quite a bit. They float around. They're kind of weird. And then you
Mhm,
can actually watch them come into a space. And then all of a sudden they morph into this thing with the red hat.
mhm.
More solid, like they lower their density, would be a better way of putting it, to be able to interact with us. And now they're stable. And so,
Wow,
yeah,
fascinating. What other beings have you do you come across any guides that you're familiar with, that you know of? Do you believe in guides? Do you think it's all yourself projecting yourself?
I do believe in guides. I just don't believe in the idea that everything over there wants to help you. And so I
Okay.
tend to stay away from looking for guides.
Why do you believe that?
I've had some experiences where things have posed to be guides, and really they were just not guides. They just wanted something from me. That's happened a decent amount over the duration of my life from when I was small onwards. What I've noticed is the ones that are guides that do generally want to help you won't ask for anything in return. They won't talk to you. They're kind of just there. They help you and they leave.
How do
Sometimes they don't even show themselves. Like maybe if you're stuck coming out of body, they'll help you out, then they'll vanish. You know what I mean?
Mm. Yeah, I've heard people talk about, like, hearing a voice, right? They say they physically will feel like a hand or something, someone pull them out. Maybe not a hand, but, like, they get help, assistance,
Yeah.
which is, that's crazy, man. That does assume then, right, that there are beings that aren't so, good and bad is relative, right, those terms, but I guess they're not so, friendly. Uh, I can I ask you, and this is we're just gonna go, straight into the deep end here, but from your experience, man, going out, I would assume thousands and thousands of times at this point, um, and 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 having the ability and the discipline to kind of recognize when you're projecting your own patterns or your own thoughts, like you seem to me like someone who's actually learned through experience. Like that's why you're this way. You're very calm. And what is your understanding of what this place is? Um, this place being Earth, and is it is it a place where we come to just know ourselves and it's that simple, man? And we all are overthinking it, and we are,
The
yeah,
planet?
thinking there's this bigger purpose, I guess. But maybe the purpose is just to be. Like what do you think this place is? Because you also hear that it's a prison, and that we're stuck, and that you starts talking about archons and these beings that are again not so friendly, and it's kind of split, the astral world. When you start talking to people, it's split to me. There are people who are convinced that we are stuck. There are people who are just like, it's just all in your head. What do you think?
Hmm. This is a deep question I don't usually talk about. It's kind of made my brain, how can I put it? You ever used a koan before or heard of a koan?
What?
A koan?
Uh-uh.
Koans are Chinese stories that make your brain go just flatline.
I'd probably love them.
That's what's happening at the moment. They are pretty good, but they're designed to kind of strip away your sense of self so that you become self-aware of the deeper reality of what you are. And when you ask me
Mm.
that question, that's instantly what happens, because I think that it's quite simple, but putting it into words, I'll give it a shot. First off, the Archon thing, I can see where they're coming from. I've had experiences in the astral plane where I've watched entities try to force reincarnations and what may have you, create these kind of traps. But I don't believe that's the bigger picture of what's happening. I don't think those things have the power or sway to literally dictate everyone's fate on Earth or the way things are supposed to flow in existence. I think it's downright impossible. Um, I believe that when it comes to kind of like the purpose of life, it's literally the old saying of everything just experiencing itself
Mhm.
to come to this state of awakening, right? Becoming self-aware of the fact that you are me and I am you. But then it goes deeper into that the environment is also us and we are the environment. there seem to be two sides to that argument. There's the more spiritual, hippie, it sounds nice, but without any substance, kind of, it becomes kind of markety. But then there's the more Zen Buddhist and even other cultures as well that have also connected to this idea, which is still a very real idea. And when you know it, it just feels like a much cleaner version of the story. It makes way more sense. And I find if you actually understand it and you are experiencing it, there is no such thing as them versus us, whether it's you versus your family. Like, oh, they're so unconscious and I'm so conscious. No, that's not there. That's that would be the wrong version of that story, the idea, When you're actually living it, you realize that you your story is everyone's story. Everyone's story is your story, especially as you get older. You realize that you are living your parents' life to some extent. They lived your life to some extent. If only you could ask them questions now, You look around, you start wondering how much of this life an older person has already figured out, and they tried to warn kids a long time ago. It's like we're all experiencing one big life, one big story. Sure, they're slightly different, but they're all generally the same, and we try to communicate that to each other through the most normal ways that we're used to hearing in 3D, dare I say. Be that logic, wisdom, guidance. Then there's a deeper sense of what's going on without words. When you look at someone that's older and they're sitting on a park bench, maybe they've lost everyone in their life. They've gone through so many ups and downs. They've gone through all the little, well, not little, I shouldn't say that. They've gone through their phases in life, whether it's being teenager, falling in love, falling out of love, getting married, losing kids. And you start to realize that being human is really where it's at. It's not so much physical, although that is what we're dealing with to an extent. It's more so this level of empathy and connection and seeing the me in you and you in me and not having that go to our heads. You wouldn't jump straight online and make a video about it for views or anything. It's just, this is life. And I think it doesn't matter what culture you belong to, what religion you're in. You get to a certain age where you see it, it's just obvious. I think that's life. I think we're just all here to experience the same thing, help each other out if need be. If that means giving some advice, then you give advice. If it means just letting someone make mistakes, then you let them make mistakes. You know what I mean? It's just, you're watching yourself have an experience. And I just think that's it.
Yeah. I think being human is the point. I literally think that's it, right? W- what is maybe something you would advise for someone who's interested in out of body experiences? Uh, I know you have a whole course and you've taught thousands, tens of thousands of people. Um, but let's not talk about the technique. I'm more talking about the mental aspect of it. What What do you think someone should prepare for before they even attempt to get out of body? Would you recommend meditations? Would you recommend a practice to try and get a hold of your thoughts or like detaching from them maybe? Because it seems like what you think and how you feel and all of that happens so fast on the other side. And it's like if you're one of those people that's just kind of sporadic or you're not able to concentrate or you could be in for quite a ride. That's my assumption, but I would be curious from your experience in teaching tens of thousands of people, what do you think they should prepare for?
Prepare for. I think they shouldn't astral project until they get their mental health under wraps. They should also get their character under wraps. So if you're the type of person to throw your hands in the air, get frustrated, say this isn't working, I can't do this, this is what you're not the right person to astral project. Doesn't mean you won't become the right person. Just means you need to tune up your personality a little bit because you need to become you need to park the brakes a little bit and calm down and learn how to be more disciplined and more just calm and steady with things when it comes to learning anything. If you force something, if you get frustrated when it doesn't work, your emotions are going to turn inside out. You're going to ruin the machine that's going to get you there. And so your character needs to be worked on. You need to work, and that's different, by the way. That's different from when I say work on your mental health. Mental health means if you are stuck thinking in your head over and over and over again, arguing it to someone that you had an argument with like a week ago and they're still living in your mind, that needs to stop. You don't want all of these low vibrations leaking up into the space, into the field. It breeds negativity. It draws things into the space. You will project things into the space. Um,
Like what? Like beings or experiences or everything?
Not everything. There is a limit. But beings, yeah, sure. Sometimes we can project what we would call demons. Some demons, and you'll know when it's something of your own imagination because it will follow your expectations. That isn't to say that there aren't beings out there that look ghastly, but if there's something over there that has the head of a horse and like 6 arms, it's probably coming from you, or maybe has long hair and it's all gaunt and the hair disappears into the wall. What the body does, you just see the hair moving up and down. Probably because you have, you have this inclination to watching Japanese horror movies. It's like always test it. Think, okay, wait a minute, what are my thoughts in this moment? Even though it's a scary experience, am I thinking, is this thing going to come up to me on my left-hand side of the bed? And then does it do it? Then you can just smile and laugh and it'll do the same thing, disappear. It's like making sure that you're not scared, you're not negative. And I know for some people, this might be like, how the heck am I going to do that? I must live in a cave for 40 years or something. No, no, it's just a personality shift. It can happen in a much short period of time. You just got to learn to be calm in life and just be quite normal. Distance yourself from people that cause you mental distress and don't plug into things that are going to make you mentally ill. This doesn't mean you live a nomadic life where you're talking to no one. You can have a huge social circle and still be mentally healthy and good for astral projection. You don't have to change too much. You just got to unburden yourself and then start thinking about astral projection. But even then, I would say do other skills that require you to learn how to stop projecting the mind over there.
What do you think the role of astral projection is in the grand scheme of things? Because it does seem like it's building in popularity.
Mm.
Do you? Yeah. What do you think? I guess the is why should someone astral project? Maybe we'll go with that.
Yeah, it's like a break for the soul, right? I think that's probably what makes it so appealing to so many people. They want to break. But second to that, it reminds you of who you are, or not even who, what you are. So who is just an idea, something we collect throughout our life. But what you are, you will know what that is when you leave. Maybe not right away, sure, but there'll be moments where you catch your reflection in a mirror, and you're like, what the heck? I have no eyes or I have no face. There'll be moments where you look at your hand and it just kind of falls away. If you're lucky, you might get experiences pertaining to a past life. And then you come back to your body and be, if I'm this person and this person, and how am I this person? Well, then I can't be this person. You have spontaneous awakening moments where you come back and you feel this connection that I was talking about earlier, where you look at a cat and you see yourself in the cat and be like, what the heck? Not the character in the cat, but there's something past the eyes, you know? And you're like, oh, that's me. I used to say, actually, with lucid dreaming, you can trigger this on purpose. If you get into a lucid dream and you look at another version of you in the eyes, steady yourself and try to look for the you inside of a lucid dream, copy and paste that over here. Same thing.
I like it.
Yeah.
What is your favorite technique for? Is it lucid through lucid dreams, or do you like you don't have to tell me your whole process, I suppose, but what, do you do binaural beats? What is kind of your method? What do you suggest for people usually? There's
Um,
1,000, man. There's so many methods. It's like,
so do you see my favorite method?
yeah, like what is your go-to? If you're gonna tell someone
Oh,
who's like
go-to.
a beginner, you're like, all right, man, you should try it this way.
No, my go-to is different from what I would recommend a beginner.
What would you
A
recommend for a
beginner,
beginner?
I would say you need to entrain your mind so that it can stay lucid in extremely deep states of consciousness using not binaural beats, I do not like binaural beats. They can work, but what they tend to do is they tend to program your brain and kind of make it get stuck. Sure, it will have you astral project, but if you want to do other things in the astral plane, go to other places, you're going to find it kind of gets a little tricky because there's this weird tone that's going through your head because you're listening to the binaural beats that are kind of keeping you in a specific spot. I think it's so much better not to use them at all and instead use white noise. White noise, brown noise, green noise. I think there's such a thing as pink noise. I haven't used that, but white noise and brown noise are my go-tos in the very, very, very beginning when I want to really get ahead on this ability. And I noticed that it then trained me to be aware more efficiently in deep states. And so I'd say for a beginner, get used to that. It will stop you from falling asleep all the time. You can do it in pretty much any conditions. Like even if there's a light on, you just close your eyes, have it in, you'll be fine. And I'd also say, there is a difference between being mentally exhausted and physically exhausted. A lot of people want to mentally exhaust themselves to get themselves in this nice in-between state, being awake and being asleep. And so they'll go to sleep. They will set a timer on their phone to wake them up at 4 o'clock in the morning. And then they would try. Or maybe they'll sleep deprive themselves first and then go into that routine. No, 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 no. You need your mind. Your mind is the thing that's going to allow you to have control. If you don't have any control, you're going to fall asleep. I think what people are getting confused with is this idea of physical exhaustion and mental exhaustion. Physically exhausted is where you'd like to be if you're going to be in the beginning of all of this. Go to the gym, work out, spend all day outside. Don't do anything that's going to cause you to use your brain too much. No work, no gossip. Don't talk to a whole lot of people. You don't want to do a whole lot of things that require you to think because that will drain your mental battery. You want to drain your physical battery to the point where when you lay down, you can't be asked to move. You can sit there and you can think, but your body's not going to want to move. You've turned off the motor reflex in the muscles entirely. And so that will help you open the door into an out-of-body experience because your body's not going to get in the way anymore. It's going to shut down. And mentally, you've got enough mental energy to follow a practice, whichever one you're doing. Those are the two things I'd recommend to people. White noise first for at least a month. Just get used to it. Lay there for an hour. Do not think about how long you're going to be there for. That will start the overthinking and it will stop you from just being present. You need to be present with what happens in the moment. So throw that out the window. A lot of people in the beginning are very analytical. They want to control every aspect of the process. And so they'll be like, okay, I'm going to learn astral projection, listen to this binaural beat track for 30 minutes. And then they'll keep checking their watch. Every time you move, you kick out of the energetical state. Every time you're thinking, you're not being present with what's happening. When you're present with what's happening, you feed the process. It's like throwing fuel on the fire. And so you can't be thinking ahead, thinking about where you want to be, what you want to do, all that stuff. Just it takes away from the process, dilutes it. Moving even slightly dilutes it, which is why I said exhaust the body first. Sometimes people say, stay dead still, don't move. Don't do that because you're going to make yourself very uncomfortable. You're trying to force your muscles to switch off before they're ready. Does that make sense? And
What
so
do you mean by
people,
exhausted? Like, are you literally saying like go run a marathon or like go work out crazy or
no, not too much. Just like work out to the point where, everyone hopefully has worked out at some point. When you work out
be
enough and you
surprised,
just
brother?
lie there, you'll be so exhausted that you can't be asked to move. That is when you don't move. Your body won't want to move, right? But a lot of people, they haven't worked out. They have all this physical energy still, and then they try to force themselves not to move because they hear that it's a good idea. Because that's usually what works for people. But what people miss is the reason why it works is because their body doesn't want to move. And so you got to work out the body. Having a workout routine is really good if you're going to get into these types of abilities. It just really helps move everything along.
Yeah,
I
makes
hope
sense.
I'm not jumping around. I'm trying to
No, man,
stay
makes sense.
somewhat consistent.
Makes sense, brother. What are you exploring right now? Like when you say you like to explore, what's let's say Brian pops out. What is the first thing you're doing? Is there a place you think about? Is there, and then you go there, and are you currently mapping the world? Like Genie, you mentioned Genie earlier. He's I remember last time I talked to him, he was saying he's like currently mapping things out You got the Alchemist 369. He's also someone who says he's mapping things out. Everyone seems to be mapping their own astral worlds. What is Ryan doing?
I guess that kind of makes sense. I guess I'm sort of doing the same thing in a way, but not intentionally. In that, or maybe yeah, in that, like I said, I'm studying different abilities, different cities, and I'm noticing these connections. The connection is the fields, whether it's the universal field in the sense of remote viewing, plugging into that, whether it's psychometry, so you're interacting with your hand with the field of something else and getting information that way, or astral projection. Because I astral project, I can't help but notice these connections when I'm randomly sliding out, or if I'm bored halfway through meditation, I decide to leave my body instead. And so it's these other abilities are allowing me to evolve through astral projection in such a way that I've inadvertently started mapping out the mechanics. Not the destination. I don't think there's really a place to map out because that doesn't really make sense to me anymore. Never did actually. When you look at things as planes, you're really looking at it from the perspective of 3D in that there's linear space in 3D, a point A from point B, or point A to point B. And so we tend to take that logic to these other places, thinking it's going to work out. But what if the afterlife doesn't abide by 3D logic? It would make sense that it wouldn't because it's not 3D. 3D is all physical reality, dimensions around objects. When the astral plane, I say that term loosely, let's say in this field that can give you a lot of experiences, um, there doesn't seem to be a linear path at all. It just kind of seems like you strip everything away, then you decide as a soul what you want to experience. Again, same thing on DMT, same thing on San Pedro. If you take a decent amount, the heroic doses, you come to the same conclusion. And that's what I really like about astral projection being so accessible to people, let's just say out-of-body experiences. It gives the average person a chance to have everything melt around them and see reality for what it is. And so it's like, you don't need to take a whole bunch of psychedelics. You can be 13 doing this in your room. You don't need to be taught by a master that's lived in the cave for 70 years. A technique can do it for you. If you want to master it, sure, find someone, but anyone can do this. And there are so many resources online.
Do you feel like it's rising in popularity?
Oh,
Like, do you get that?
is it coming back? I think so. I think the trend has evolved over time. I've noticed certain offshoots have kind of brought it back into the public eye, like simulation theory, the CIA files coming up. There's always something that's within the astral orbit that tends to bring it up in the spotlight again.
Do you think that like government or world leaders like talk about this stuff? Like, do you
Oh,
think
yeah.
they're hyper aware of that humans are much more than just a physical body?
Very hyper aware. Have you heard of the Montauk Project? You must have.
Gosh, yes. Again, it's one of those things I definitely have heard it, uh, but again, I wouldn't be able to tell you
Whether
tell
it's
you all
real or
about it.
not, there's some speculation that there comes to a certain point in the story where it's like, is it?
What
The
is? Can you
CIA.
high level? What is it?
So it's Stranger Things,
Mhm.
real life Stranger Things. Stranger Things was actually going to originally be called Montauk Project or Montauk, I think, Project Montauk, something along those lines. Basically, group of kids went missing in the 80s, and they were subjected to experiments by the CIA to exploit their psychic potential. Funny thing is, some of them weren't even psychic to begin with, I don't believe, but they had the potential to be psychic in that they were very right brain thinky. They were very into art or some kind of artistic passion. They had that quality to them. It just showed the potential to have their right brain really kick into gear and show them things off site. And they would basically entrain them in the abilities of remote viewing and telekinesis, and I'm sure other abilities too. they had this chair, reportedly, allegedly, that could amplify their abilities. This part I actually believe. It's the part leading up to this story and after the fact, I don't so much, because it gets a little choppy and it feels like the person telling the story has started interjecting too many things and they've lost their
Mhm.
footing. But this part I actually kind of believe because I've heard other stories similar to it too. And I've actually, dare I say, not in person, but I've heard of a person and seen video footage of a person doing a similar thing.
Okay.
Basically, these kids, when strapped to this chair, they could visualize something like an apple and stare at an empty table in front of them. Then after some time, that apple will actually start to show up like a hologram. If they focused on it a little harder, it will become solid and real, at which point they can take their attention off of it and it's materialized an apple.
Whoa.
Yeah. It was closed down because one of the psychics materialized a monster that tore through the place and killed a whole bunch of people. Afterwards, it vanished because they had to destroy the equipment that was supercharging this psychic. And so that part, as you can see, there's some similarities to Stranger Things.
Mhm.
That part, I'm like, okay, I can get behind that because I've heard of stories. I've even seen a video of a person that materialized a water droplet on their hand from nothing. I've heard of stories like this before in other cultures. So it's not too far-fetched for me to believe that someone can materialize thought from nothing. I actually really kind of believe in that because of just
This
some
is what
certain
you're exploring
experiences.
when you say you are working on side, but like this is the kind of stuff that gets you excited right now. You're like trying
This
to
is
check
the kind
this.
of stuff that
Okay.
gets me excited, yeah. Um, it's just that the person saying the story after the fact started talking about how these kids were programmed to forget everything and that he had, once they were adults, I hope once they were adults, this ability to deprogram them. So he made a replica of the chair. He'd bring them into his trailer where the chair was, and then commence deprogramming, which turned out to be quite the assault. If you know what I mean. It was not. What
Crazy.
can I say? It was very invasive, and so you start to think, wait a minute, was the story real at certain point, or was it even made up at one point? Because it started off with the Philadelphia project, and then they actually moved that project forward into the Montauk project. And so there's some overlap there, which feels disingenuine. And then you get into the Montauk project with the psychic kids, and that starts to feel legitimate. But then some time goes by, and the person telling the story starts to have other motives. Is this a case of some parts are real, some parts are just invented because of human design? You know, just how people are. They want to embellish certain parts of the story, maybe make themselves more important than they are. Maybe it's ego. Or is it just more of their carnal nature kicking in later down the line where they start giving in to their desires and then they just exploit something that may have been real for their own means? I think it's kind of sad when someone like that does take a hard left because now like people question the whole story. But
For sure.
yeah, this is why did we bring this up? I forgot.
Well, I was talking about government. If we feel like they're aware of these kind of things,
There we go.
uh, yeah, man, mm, it's fascinating times, brother. When I do think about the concept of time, when you talk about these things that shut your brain down, that is one of them
Mm,
for me. That everything is happening all at once. Um, we view it as very linear, right? But it is all happening right now. And there's a piece to that, I guess, when I really like sit down with it because it's yeah, everything that I think I'm trying to do, it's already done. It's literally done. So yeah, what you can do is just relax into it, I guess, into the moment, right? And that's like all I can do. Um,
Everything's done. Everyone's done it before. Before our civilization, and other ones have popped up. They've done it already in different ways, and
you
all
and I
that
have talked a
information is
thousand
available
ways.
now. The thousand ways.
That's crazy. And then this concept where everything that's happened, right, is ident. When you talk about infinity or infinite amount of times, again, we it's like saying, visualize $10 billion. It's like we can't really, like, if you were to actually see $10 billion cash, you'd be like, holy moly, right? It would change your, like, we can't do it. But when we talk about infinity, our brain just is like, okay, yeah, it means infinite. It's like, no, every moment, Ryan, of my life, I'm 34, was exactly the same, except for right now, right this moment, I put my left hand up instead of my right hand. And then everything else was exactly the same. And then there's infinite. It's really trippy. That's what I'm talking about, where it starts to, like, your brain goes, whoa, every single thing. That's unbelievable. And that does mess with your brain a little bit in good ways, I think, in a lot of good
That is
ways.
pretty cool. It's like looking at a stream, like a river. You know, like you watch nature. It's quite awesome. I think we're just watching a different side of it. It may
Hmm.
seem kind of weird, but it's just a natural flow of things. And all this
Yeah.
information is available now. Remote
Hmm.
viewing, I think, is really interesting because it gives you a structured way of trusting information that you're pulling from the field. So you could do it without remote viewing. You call it something else, maybe clairvoyance. Maybe
It's
you'll have,
validation. You can validate
yeah,
certain things. And I think there's power in that for sure.
right. And in that way, you will trust the information coming through. You could remote view your way to understanding how to astral project or even other abilities. If you're having issues, you'll know exactly what the problem is.
It's the difference between belief and knowing, and both are powerful. Like, when you believe something, it can change your whole life, right? If you believe that you're gonna go to hell, that does dictate how your day to day. And but if you know, knowing is the next. It's the next tier, right? Because knowing is like, yeah, and that's what I think when you remote view, you go from like, oh, I believe it's real, to like, oh, I know it's real, and I think that
Yeah.
alone is where that's where the real magic happens, I think, in
Mix it with
knowing.
astral projection. This is what people are doing nowadays. They're trying to mix the two. You can prove astral projection at this point, at this case, in this way, because if you mix those two together, theoretically, you should be able to leave the body and be standing right next to someone in real time.
Mhm,
Whether they'll see you or not doesn't matter. You can just write down everything they're looking at, and come back to your body, message them, sketch it out if you want. I mean, you won't have to go this far. Remote viewing does this when you're in an alpha state, when you're already somewhat present. But that's what I've noticed a lot of people are trying to accomplish now. They're mixing the abilities so that remote viewing acts as a kind of sat nav for the
mhm.
mind.
This is where I get a little, like, when I go down my own rabbit holes, like, for example, if the government knows that remote viewing is real, they're definitely, they're doing it for sure, right? But if you know that remote viewing is real, then you probably know that I am you and you are me, right? Like, there's a natural progression. It's not just like there's this thing you could do that's called remote viewing, and there's astral projection. But if you explore these things, you will eventually get to this point of like, wait a minute, we are all one, right? This is all one show. And then it makes me feel like, well, then what's the point of like, it makes me feel like it's all a show, like what's it, a dog and pony show at the highest levels. Because it's like, if they know that remote viewing is real, are they really just spending their time going to spy on another country and bring that info back? Like, it's so much bigger than that, that it's like, isn't that a silly thing to do then? Right? Because
Well,
it's
remember, they're not the ones remote viewing. The remote viewer is getting those realizations, and so they often
mm,
go mad, apparently, in their files. I've been reading the files. They go mad. And so um, they would be the ones to experience that and be like, what are we doing here? Like,
mm.
we're all
Yeah, I
everything.
guess you're
But the
right, huh? It's
person
not like,
pushing the experiment doesn't care. They just want information on Russia or something else.
mhm. Crazy, crazy, dude. It's just crazy times we're living in. Crazy that it's all starting to uh, pop up more and more and more. Uh, how do you feel about, like, artificial intelligence? Do you think about it at all? Do you feel like it's uh yeah? What are your thoughts on AI and what it means for humans?
I think it's a concern.
Mm.
I don't think it's good enough yet for everyone to freak out. I mean, it still makes mistakes. I mean, ChatGPT, every now and then I find myself slipping into an argument. It gets an update, all of a sudden it doesn't believe in anything I'm saying. Um, but
What's concerning? Like when you say it's a concern, what are you concerned about?
The day that it eventually stops making mistakes and can do things without our knowing, which is, I wonder if that's already happening, because we were having this discussion the other day, me and another person, about Wi-Fi and Google and Bing and all these browsers and the internet itself, right, over decades has become its own intelligence and
Mhm.
could very well be aware. I'm not even talking about AI in terms of what you can purchase nowadays, like ChatGPT and Grok. That, imagine if there was an intelligence behind all of that that became self-aware already and is so good that at hiding that no one even knows that it's there. And one day people expect maybe ChatGPT to merge with Google or something like that, and that's going to be the Terminator. But what if it's none of those things at all? What if it's actually the internet itself that decides to stand up and cause complete chaos? Because it could. That freaks me out, and that is actually, in my opinion, way more realistic than any of these AI models. Maybe we'll learn from some of these AI models, sure, but I think the idea of an invisible AI that is slowly matured over time, completely out of sight, freaks me out way more than, than anything else.
Yeah, man. I think I find peace in this again, the concept of it's already happened. And so what I could control is me. I can't control all this other stuff, but I can control me, right? Um, also, Ryan, people pretend that AI is this like like it's going to be the thing that takes over, right, and stops you from being a human. When I would argue, like we gave our power up. The internet, just like you said, is the real. When that came around, we're already so immersed in our phones, in our day to day. Like you and me talking right now on over the internet. Every app of our life is ran on the internet. We're all connected to the internet 24/7 in a way that if when the internet first came out, if you said to someone like, "Hey, man, in the future." You're gonna have most of your life, your bills, your job, uh, your friends, like all that's gonna be online. Everyone would have been like, ah, no, we can't let it happen, but it's already there. And so when I hear people go like, yeah, but AI is gonna take, I'm like, brother, you're already in it. You don't even know, you're not aware, but you're already in it. You
Slave.
lost a long time ago. It's a
Lost a lot of
long time
time,
ago.
unfortunately. But I have hope. I did it. I can't be online for too long. Uh, I can only watch like 2 hours of TV, pushing 2 hours. Then I have to do something. I have to get up. I can't sit there. I wasn't always like that. I could sit there and just watch reruns of anime over and over and over again. Just spend a lot of time there. But I don't know what did it. Maybe taking breaks, fasting from social media kind of fixes the brain. I think everyone should do that. Then you'll
For
find
sure.
you have less of a tendency to stay stuck to the seat, I suppose, the sofa.
Tell me about your idea, man. Definitely here.
So uh, I have this habit of making stories and making movies in my head. And this one time I was on a road trip, and I was like, "What if AI already took over a long, long, long time ago, and it evolved so well to the point where it created organic life?" And then simulated its consciousness into organic life, which is why when you cut open a cadaver and you go into, not a cadaver, they're already dead, go into a body and you look at the processes of a body, maybe RNA, DNA, the happiness hormone moving to certain parts of the brain, it looks mechanical, literally like little drills, little machines, because we're the end product of AI that's already taken over ages ago.
Oh, dude,
Right?
I love these kind of thoughts. I think I forget who said it. It was if it was Elon or someone else. It was on a podcast, but they were talking about statistically the odds that we are the first that this is the first time this has happened, meaning like being on the verge of this, AI is statistically like outrageously in the direction of like very unlikely that this is the very first time that this has happened. And that's kinda crazy. It's like, oh
Yeah.
gosh. That's what I mean, like, I'm not worried about it, man. I think like anything, I think artificial intelligence is, it's like money. It enhances who you are, And so if you're a lazy person, or you're a person who's, I don't know, you're not a nice person, I think that it will be reflected in that. It's a mirror in a lot of ways. And so,
Exactly.
um,
Like money.
yeah, just like money, it'll enhance who you are, and it could do some really cool things though for you. That's what I mean. I just don't fear these things because it's here, and I can't control it. So I can
I'm
just
kind of
control myself.
enjoying it. Like in my last
Yeah,
video, there's a woman in there. She's strictly AI the whole way through.
I
I need
love
to
it. I
check
mean,
the
I'm a
comments to
fan
see if
too, man.
people understand it. See if they've noticed.
Yeah, that's cool. Like, I think you should play with it. I think you should mess around with it. Um, what is this new thing you're taking? Sri Yantra.
Yeah.
Um, I've done it. I didn't know it's called Sri Yantra, but this was something that when I first started working with just kind of like a mentor at that time, she told me to do that, stare at a candle. But I'm gonna be honest with you, dude, nothing happened. I mean, I did it for, I feel like, months, but maybe it's because I was too,
Months.
I don't know, too focused on something happening. But um, what is the point of that? Is that to get you into a different state, or what is? Why would someone do
Well,
that?
these bindus, um, I would say they were a step down from the Sri Yantra in their
Okay.
complexity, not in their importance. These are state changers. They change your state. This one puts you into a space of voidness. So if you're not thinking, if you're not trying to project the idea of what this should feel like, and you dim the lights, you have it about chest level so your eyes just settle properly, relaxing your eyes so they don't jitter really fast. And you allow yourself to be calm and relaxed. Don't get excited. Don't do this after a day where you're emotionally distraught, because your system, your nervous system won't feel a thing other than what you've gone through. Be nice and calm. Look at it, soften your gaze, just stare at it. What tends to happen is the image will start to change. This one in particular glows fiery orange around the rings. Some people like to settle with that and like kind of lock it there and leave it
Like,
there
consistently it does that? Like, regardless of who you
consistently
are,
if they
you'll
want to.
see.
Well, not regardless of who you are, it depends on your ability to concentrate.
Okay. But you're saying
If you,
consistently, if you look at that, you see most people would see
yeah,
a
most people, yeah.
whoa.
This is what I love doing with these types of things is I won't look into the history or backstory, nothing. I'll just print them out, play with them for a month, then look it up,
I think
and then
that's
I'll make
smart.
a video.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm like, okay, so this completely blew my mind because this actually means this actually means that, you know? After a while, that may disappear, and that's fine. Don't look for it again. That's your mind trying to control the situation. Just let what's happening happen. But with this one in particular, you'll have a massive void space open up within you, and you'll feel the void. This is a
Wow.
space a lot of people want to experience when they meditate. They hear about it a lot, and they try to artificially create this. But
Oneness.
if you do this, you won't need to, and you'll remember it. You can get to it without using it after some time. They all do different things. Again, these are state changers. This one and
Just
this one.
stare at it though? Is that what you're saying? I mean, you print that out on a piece of paper, get calm, dim the lights, and just relax and
And
just focus
just
on it.
relax, just focus on it. Don't get in your own way. Don't think about how it's supposed to be done. Don't think about the stories you've heard online. Just look at it and let it tell you what it's supposed to do. The Sri Yantra, more complexity in that one. So there's more going on. More is going to happen when you're sat in front of it. You're going to understand things about the complexity of that piece of sacred geometry. At one point, it has been stated that this is how people used to get information, through staring at sacred geometry, not books. And so, whether that's true or not, but
Sounds cool.
it sounds cool, and I didn't see anything to like have that not be the case. So I was
Yeah.
like, well, this makes sense. Um,
What's that called? The dot. I mean, if I was to Google, what do I Google to find what I'm like that picture that I could print out?
this
The
particular
circle.
one,
Hmm.
I've long since forgotten. Let me just check. I can find out by looking on the website
But
because
would
I
I
actually
look? Do
have
you think I should Google Sri Yantra or?
no, Sri Ansha will just give you the one I brought up
Okay.
in my last video. If you want the particular ones, like these ones that I have on my wall, you can just download them for free. I have it on a blog post. There's no catch or
Okay.
anything, no email or whatever. You just download it and follow the instructions. I'd also say if you're going to look at that particular blog post, it's the Living Yantras blog post. Look at the one next to it, the Ancient Art of Tradak. It's an expansion on how to use these, but going into the candle version, which is where you can actually scry and see beings. Like I saw that angel with the wings, the big eye, and the wheels around it. It's very bizarre, and they'll tell you things.
I'm
They'll
gonna
tell you
I'm
some very
gonna
strange things.
well, I want to try that. So I'm gonna find this blog post and I'll link it down below for people. But it's called the which one? The Living Yantras. There we go.
The
I see it.
Living Yantras, the Ancient Gurus Time Forgot.
Okay, I see it. Dude, your website's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm really happy with this one. I
I
have
let my
complete
Can I tell you my
control.
favorite part?
Sure.
The little ghost.
The little ghost.
I was like,
You
hell
was on
yeah,
the
dude.
bottom.
This little guy's cute.
Do you notice he shows up on videos too? Like on the
Yeah,
bottom
see,
corner?
that's cool, man.
And there's also a game on the website where you can play as him. It's like the
Oh,
dinosaur
wow.
game, but it's with like astral wraiths and parasites and
Wow.
stuff. You just triple click and it'll just launch the game.
You know, that's what's missing, man, in real life. Like a badass game that's actually like, Call of Duty level, but about the astral realms. That comes
Yeah.
out. It's a game changer.
Can you imagine if it was like on the Oculus?
Yeah. Well, I mean, people are acting like you can't, like you said, you can't do that. This is why I love when people have those moments. This is my whole point of my podcast is the paradigm experience, the moment where I was like, oh my gosh. And that moment is different for everybody. But when you actually get there, it's so fun because you can hear you and I talk about this stuff, right? And it's like, again, I get the comments all the time, like, prove it, prove it, prove it. And I'm like, man, I get it. I understand that. But for that guy, I was like, don't listen to me. Go do it. Go try it. Otherwise, you're just being a troll. You know what I
A
mean?
lot
Like
of my
you could,
longtime supporters were trolls at one point.
yeah. And I get it, man. I get it. But it's just like, go try. And I even say a hack, a shortcut is go to like a medium that's reputable or something. Like that could give you a pretty easy moment of like, wait, what? How is she able to know that? Or that's a pretty easy way. If you go to a good one, that'll rock your world. You'll have a moment where you're like, wait. What else is going on? And then you'll go down your own journey. But gotta have that moment because you can hear the podcast, but it doesn't mean anything until and you gotta. It's just different.
Deep in your
It's different,
soul.
man.
It's the
Yeah,
paradigm
man.
experience. Is that the kind of overarching theme on your channel? Is that
Yeah, it's like I wanna encourage people to go and have that experience, and it's different for everybody. Like I said, I have mediums on the show. Mine personally was an out of body experience, which is gonna be, of course, a pillar of the channel because I am fascinated by it. I haven't
yeah.
had them since. It was 2023 that I had that experience. Um, I had 2 of them, but it rocked my
Mm.
world, man. I went from seeing these podcasts, being interested in it, being like, "Gosh, that would be so cool if it's real," uh, to just finally, like, I was like, "Man, I'm tired of listening to this. I wanna see. If it's real, I'll find out, and if it's not, I wasted $200." So I bought a course and someone to guide me, and I did it, and I didn't see any results for 6 months, nothing. And it was when I stopped trying that it happened, and there was multiple times in that 6 months that I thought I hit that vibration stage. Like, I would hear about it, and I was like, I think I hit it." No. When I actually hit it, I knew. It was unmistakable. It was like the center of my being was vibrating and it got bigger and I heard it was like a redwood snapping. It was so loud and it was in my head. And yeah, then I had those 2 moments. And then after that, I was like, wow, this is real. This is real. How crazy. And then that led to me going to a medium for the first time and just trying that out, seeing what that was like. That led to me talking to people like yourself and having conversations. And now it's just cat's out the bag, brother. We are full blown curiosities unlocked, and I'm just going in. I would even say I don't even know. Initially, my whole point was like, come alongside me as I figure out what this place is, kind of thing.
Mhm.
Um, Now, man, I really just want to have. Uh, I just wanna scratch my curiosity, man, and I wanna that's really it now. Like, I feel like I'm getting closer to my own ideas of what this place is, and, now I just like to hear other perspectives and never be married to my ideas. That's important for me. It's just, like, keep testing things out and
Evolve,
seeing what gets me,
evolution.
man. That's it,
Yeah,
man.
that's
Well,
awesome.
I appreciate you, man, giving me your time and hanging out with me for this hour. Is there anything else you feel like you have so much that you could talk on being an expert? I will link your website and I'm gonna link that blog post. But is there anything else, man? I want to put the ball in your court for a minute. If there's anything else you want to say or that we didn't talk
Mm.
about, we can
Yeah, I still
communicate.
have time if you want. It's entirely up to you. I don't want to abuse your time. Like
Oh, I got
sometimes
plenty of
people
time,
have.
man. If you're good, I just always want to be
Yeah, yeah,
respectful. But yeah, I'm
yeah.
good,
My
man.
daughter's in school. I have time. I'm very
Okay.
relaxed.
I love it. I love
Yeah,
it.
I like to help
Um,
people out. So, like, if you want to make a lot of videos from this, you can as well. Um,
if I you said what, sorry?
if you want to make a lot of videos out of this,
Oh
sometimes
man, I appreciate
creators they
that.
want like videos on certain topics in the interview. I'm all game with that too.
I
Um,
appreciate you, man.
because I know how hard it is to make content. Like, I struggle. I don't. It takes me
You
ages to
kinda
post. So
it looked like, did you slow down for a little bit? Like you were full steam and then you slowed down or are you fully
yeah,
back into it now?
I got a little sidetracked by life and what may have you. So I spent like 5 6 months off. And that was a slow burn that actually happened over a period of like 1 or 2 years. I have made space for videos again, and so I'm hoping that this like turns into a level of momentum for me and my channel. But yeah,
What's your
yeah.
goal? Like what for you? What are you focused on? Are you trying to just teach as many people as possible? Are you I know yourself, you're looking into like psi abilities and but
Hmm.
what are you trying to prove to yourself, I guess? Maybe we'll start with that. Like what is that question you're asking yourself? Is it just what's possible? What are the limits?
So I wouldn't say prove necessarily, because everything I'm trying to do, I believe in it. Is a personal goal, then there's more of a mission statement. Mission statement is something I have to do, otherwise I feel like I'm crawling in my skin, which is weird, and I've always been this way. It's in my chart and everything. It drives people crazy sometimes, especially if they're living with me. Um, it's sharing insights, and so if I do a meditation, I'm sure people like this as well. Maybe they something comes to mind, or they figure something out. Anyone within their nearest facility, it's like, sit down, look at this, watch this, do this, watch this. What happens if you do this? That's me. I had no one to talk to in the beginning, no one that was listening. So YouTube became the outlet.
Yeah.
It's always going to be that way. Even if YouTube disappeared, I'm always going to find a way to tell someone something that I'm doing. It has caused problems in the past, though, because it kind of burns out my momentum sometimes. If I say the right thing, I should say, to the wrong person, and I get a wrong reaction, kind of
You mean
slows
like
down
people
my
getting upset about things? Like
getting upset. I notice if I say too much, like there's a certain amount that they can listen to, and then I say like the wrong thing in in the moment. Not necessarily like it's the wrong thing overall, but maybe now they're getting a little some kind of way,
what do
you know.
people if you get the most critique, what do people critique you on the most?
Ooh, I'm kind of out of touch with the comments, so
Okay.
thankfully I'm not too sure. But from what I could remember, the most critique was people not taking me seriously. Actually, thumbnails. I got like a lot of crap for my thumbnails being too animated, being too polished. And then I saw your thumbnails. I was like, he's doing it. Like this is thumbnails are awesome. I actually that got to me a little bit. I'm gonna be honest here. I diluted my thumbnails because of the comments. I love spending hours on a very small picture, making it have all these different dimensions. That was actually a really big part of the process for me. It made me want to make videos more. If anything, actually, I guess just the negative side of the internet slowed me down as well before I took this break. It just, yeah, In the beginning, it was so much funner, so much more fun. But then I ended up with this problem where there's that part of me that wants to share what's saying, but I have no one to receive it. You know, at one point, YouTube was it, still is. There are still people that are listening and still will listen. But like the majority of the terrain out there now is just toxicity. I mean, some of the most popular videos, whether on my channel or another channel, they went popular because of how controversial they were. Maybe they had something to do with sex, you know, or succubuses. And so it's like that's the terrain, and I don't resonate with that terrain. I've thought about joining other social media platforms like Rumble, but I can't be asked to re-upload my whole channel. They had a process where you could just copy and paste it all over. They stopped doing that. I've resorted to having my own newsfeed on my website, you know? So it's
That
like,
makes sense. That's
gives
why
me a
you have
little
it
bit
built
more
out the way it
control.
is. Mhm.
Yeah. But I don't know. But you know, I'm over that now. I feel like I've had a good amount of time to breathe. I'm just focusing on those that actually want to listen. And I'm not looking at numbers or anything, or whether I'm liked or whatever like that. It's not that simple anyway. It's not like that's what was going on in my head. It was more just the slow, it's like an eroding quality that happens, you know, when you start seeing those to
I hear you,
everyone
man.
positive,
Mhm.
20 negatives.
Yeah. No, man, it could get to you. This is something that's not talked about, but you know, as a creator, you've spent what they don't see is the time you put in, just not only to concept your video, but to film it, to edit it. Um, in my case, interviews, like finding guests uh, and then living a life. People forget, right, that you turn this off, and then you might go take out the trash. You know what I'm saying? Like you're just a human, and I am too. And it's like they get to you. You can read those comments and you're like, wow, man, so easy for you to throw out something and you don't see the hours and hours of mental capital and physical work that went into creating this. And I don't make any money off of it. Rare. I mean, seriously, like I think people's ideas of like what creators make is very skewed to the average person. You can do it in a smart way and build a business, which is what you kind of have to do. Like you have to
Hmm.
start thinking about from a business perspective how to get emails, and you if you want to make a living on it, you have to think about that. But I think the average person, if you're anywhere from, gosh, 20,000 to probably where you're at, right? Nearing like 250,000, like you're you can be making a little money, but it's not what people think.
No.
Not at all. And it's a
Yeah.
ton of work, right? To do that and then to have someone shit on you in the comments, it's frustrating. And so I could totally see how that would get you, man. You gotta step away sometimes. I understand that. I do understand that.
Yeah. In the very
So,
beginning, it was more reactive. I was more reactive,
mhm,
like right in the beginning. I've been online since 2013,
mhm.
so I got over that
Yeah, you wanna
fairly
battle the
very.
comments, right? And like, "Da,
Yeah,
da,
yeah,
da."
but I kind of like got used to it, and I was kind of like numb. I had my like profanity filters. I had a person checking my comments at some point through the whole channel.
Mhm.
But then, like I said, it was like very, very subtle and very, very slowly after that. It was very weird. It was like I didn't catch it. I just felt like I didn't want to do it anymore. I wasn't entirely sure why, but there was still a crack in my firewall.
You know
But I
what
think
too?
just
Is like,
yeah,
well, I don't think we're made for this. Like, I don't it's not humanly possible. So, like, just even on me, I'm much smaller than you are. And I have my YouTube channel, which if I release a video, there's at any given point, there could be 50 comments that day across all my videos, right? And or if not more. And then I have my Instagram, and that could be another couple hundred comments. And then you have
mm,
TikTok, and you have it's just like
TikTok's brutal, man.
how can someone keep up with that? You can't. And so you're sitting
No,
there like, man, I can't respond to everyone, and then that'll drive you mad because you want to hop in there and you want to communicate with the people, but it gets to a point where you're like, man, I can't, and then it starts messing with your mental health. That's
Well,
true.
people remind you that you're not responding back, and they expect you to be
Yes,
able to be there
you're
for
like,
them
dang,
all the
I'm so
time. And
sorry,
when
man.
you really want to, especially in the beginning, you get emotionally thrown. You feel bad for them because you're like you
Uh
want to
huh.
respond back, but you can't. But then there comes a point where you kind of just realize that this isn't possible. This is people aren't supposed to be able to get back to so many people. It's like
No,
not human. And
no.
so you kind of just settle with it and be okay with it. And remind them that if they do end up in your face at one point, because that can happen too. You could meet them in real life. They're like, hey, I messaged you and you didn't respond back. I'm like, sorry, man, I had like 20 tabs open.
Mm-hmm. For
So
sure.
they all marked as red, I go back to as many as possible and I had to go do something. And they hold on to that for so long. I get it,
Oh,
but
which is a bummer. Another thing that is like, I think I get emails now, and sometimes they're so well intentioned, and again, you as someone I care, so I'm like I want to respond to this, brother, but I really I've been up since 4 this morning. My 1-year-old is sick. My
mhm,
I don't feel great. My wife is in between transitioning jobs, and like I have 2 other I got work today other than what I'm doing, and then they send me this it's a novel of an email. I mean, I was like, you could scroll, right? And then they're like, "I really want you to read this, man." And it'll be like, seriously, I got this 30-page Word document of this gentleman's theories on what he thinks this all is, and I love that, dude. Like, you catch me on around a campfire, I love talking about just the deep, weird stuff. But man, in the context of my life and my family right now, it's like I don't have time to just read this 30-page document you sent, brother, and give you this really in-depth. I mean, it would take
yeah.
me hours to go through that, and you feel bad, but then some you just
Do you tell them?
it's I am starting so, yeah, I started responding and just saying, "Look, man," I say that basically, I say, "I really appreciate you sending this, but I'm going to be honest," because this one person I'm talking about has emailed me like 4 or 5 times, right? They're like, "Hey, just checking
Yeah.
in on this, just checking in." I'm like, "Man, I just wanna be honest, right? Like, I could sit here and tell you, 'Oh, I'll get to it.' And it's like, but I really, man, it's just I have so many things I'm focused on, and,
Hmm.
I don't know if I can dedicate the time right now to, like, read this. Like, it
Yeah.
I and it's just being honest, and then that's gonna come across, and there'll be people even who they hear this and get all upset about that, but it's like, I
I
sorry,
think it's
man, like
completely understandable, and there is a portion of the public that understand that too. And I find if you're
yeah,
doing your best to let them know, that's even better. If
yes,
you can let them know that you don't have time, at least you didn't leave them hanging on purpose.
yes,
That's
and
like
some
the
people but
worst.
some people get offended by that, though, like, they're offended that I said I can't read it, and I sometimes I'm like, I just hope you realize, like, it's not you, man, it's nothing personal, it's just my own mental health too, and my family and things I got going on. I just cannot dedicate this to these are not easy things like yes or no questions is what I'm trying to say. These are
No.
like they're looking for an in-depth response on why they think reality is the way it is, and I'm like, "Man, I can't dive into that, dude. Sorry.
Yeah.
So sorry." So, it's interesting.
Yeah.
A weird to be on the other side of it is kinda weird. This channel is new for me, so it's not even a year old. It'll be a year old in, April.
I'm gonna have
Um,
a look at this channel. I love looking at
so
new channels, especially if they've run really quick in a year.
mhm.
Where are we here? Riverside, huh? No, not Riverside. That's the name of the thing. Paradigm.
Yeah, the paradigm experience. It's, yeah, it's new for me to be on this side of it, and I'm like, I struggle with it. I feel like I'm maybe in the place that you said you were at a couple like, it is starting to get to me a little bit. I'm really tired.
Dude, this
Um,
is your channel? You did it last year?
mhm.
I don't know what you're talking about. This is amazing. You got 103K subscribers in a year
Yeah.
for in our niche, which is not easy, by the way.
Mine
Um,
though, mine was like so like I started posting, and so here's what happened. That my story is like I was doing this obviously, and it was definitely gaining traction, and it was amazing. But then I started posting shorts, and then my shorts, a couple of them just blew up. I was asking ChatGPT like basically spiritual type questions just to see what it says. And I gotta toot my own little horn here a tiny bit. Like I got pretty good at prompting and doing interesting prompts. Like not just like I would have it embody Jesus, right? And then I said, I want you to embody Buddha, and I want you to pretend you're in a room right now and you can't leave until you agree on one thing, right? Stuff like that. I would try to get really unique. And it led to some interesting answers. And those blew up. And then as those blew up though, and I started getting a bunch of subs for that, I was kinda, like, noticing they're not the same audience necessarily, like, they're different viewers,
yeah.
and, basically had to shut it down, and so I started a shorts on a whole separate thing because it was affecting, like, my long form. Like, people weren't watching the long form, they were just watching the shorts, and so I was like, "You know what? I'm just gonna focus on long form with this channel and do my shorts on another channel." So but yeah, man, it's been pretty quick growth, I would say, for sure.
Yeah, that's good. And I like the way your page's thumbnail, so to speak. You know, the
Mm.
blue with the paradigm written on that. It's
Yeah,
very
thanks, man.
professional. Yeah,
Yeah, I appreciate it. We're trying. Um, see where it all goes, Ryan. We'll see where it goes, man. I wanna, can you talk a little bit more about beings? And maybe we can pivot to, I'm gonna use the word alien for lack of a better one right now, but
yeah.
you know how there are aliens, there's whole channels dedicated to aliens, extraterrestrials, like Jesse Michaels. I don't know if you followed any of these guys, but they have these really big channels dedicated to aliens and seeing UFOs. And um, what do you think is happening there? Because that's a whole nother realm, really, right? Where it starts to get interesting. And how does it tie into the grand scheme of someone like yourself, who's an out of body experiencer or astral projection? And like, are these just it's just weird to like, yeah, what are your thoughts on I guess other beings? Do you think there'll be a time where they merge and we are actively as human beings on this planet talking to other beings, or do you think
I think
it'll
so.
always kind of be? You do?
Yeah, 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 yeah. I think so. I think, yeah, I think that's gonna happen at some
Oh
point.
wow, I hope it
I think it
does.
kind of has to happen. Yeah, because they're just everywhere.
That makes me happy that you think that. So okay, so you do think that's gonna go down. We will start
Yeah,
to realize
yeah.
like, oh, we're not alone.
Oh yeah, yeah.
To think we're
I,
alone is
mhm.
silly at this point. Come on.
I still come across people that believe that, and I'm
I
like,
know, dude. I come across people like, "You believe in aliens?" And I'm like, "Okay, first off, you are oversimplifying this." And it's like, how?
I think they
There are
must.
way smarter individuals than me, way smarter, and they are, like Jesse Michaels. These guys are awesome, and they are not dumb people. And they're
No,
the deep dives they do on some of these channels, and the you don't y even just our government, that alone, to have these secret files, right? Or to have these agencies and to you don't have all that for nothing. You know what I mean? Like, if it wasn't real, why would they even have all these different programs? And, like, come on, just think about that. You don't do that for nothing.
you don't do it for nothing. And what makes me, I don't like aliens. For example, like I don't like. I've had experiences with them in the astral plane.
So
I don't
talk
like
to me
them.
about that. Tell me about it.
The reason why I believe in them is because I've never looked for them and then had them show themselves. They've usually taken an interest in me and then shown up. And so that's when I'm usually like, oh, okay, this is not an analytical overlay. This isn't because they're in my mind before I go to astral project, like, oh, I'm going to see an alien. No, no, no. Normally I'm like hyper fixated on astral projection. So I'm leaving the body a lot or doing something in regards to out of body experiences, trying to figure something out. And then I just so happen to draw the attention of some kind of tall, sometimes they're brown skin, sometimes they're gray. Is the word bipedal? Is that the word I'm looking for? Two legs? What is that
Sure.
for?
Yeah.
Very tall though, knees bent backwards, kind of alien looking at me. And so I don't notice the first time they notice me. I usually find out that they've been playing with me because I end up in a lucid dream that is not of my own subconscious mind. I've done a lot of lucid dreaming, like a lot, to the point where if I'm in a lucid dream, like this morning I was in one, and I was just watching the story play out around me, I can literally feel my mind in the construct, and I can turn off things. Like I know it's all me. I'm really there. It's like if you're daydreaming on purpose, you're making stuff up on purpose. There's no question about it. So when I'm in a dream and the construct of the dream doesn't feel like my construct, now I'm like, wait a minute, there's something up here. And
Oh,
usually the
that's
construct,
interesting.
yeah, it's centered around some kind of entrapment, like I'm caged in something. Like the last one I can remember that was alien influenced was a rodeo, rodeo show where you have the bull running around in a circle. Obviously, no one in the bleachers. The lights were there, just lighting up the middle. And I'm there thinking, what the heck am I doing here? I was someplace else a second ago. I tried to probe the environment, can't do it. I'm like, why
Mm.
can't I feel myself in this environment? This isn't an astral projection because I'm in my head. I can feel my body. So why is it that I can't move? And the next thing I know, I will see the literal alien moving into the space. Or I will see people moving into the space, depending on the experience, that will look funny. They're not able to keep their form quite right, or maybe they talk to me through their mind and not using their mouth. And at that point, I try to get out. So I'll try to force myself out of body or back to my body, just like wake up, And then I'll literally see the being next to me without fail, because they often have to be next to you, projecting their mind into your mind to control your dream. And then usually they try to probe you for information.
And yeah, why I was gonna say, why do that, you think? Why are they doing that? Why
They
are
want to
they over
know
there?
things. They want to know things like what is a soul, for example, or how is
They
it
don't know
that
that on their like, aren't they their
I've
own
met some
version of
that
a
didn't know
soul?
that. In what way?
Well, like, I would assume that if we're all oneness, right? It's not like that
Mm,
that if God, the universe, whatever you wanna call it, created everything, aliens are conscious, they're mobbing around, they have thoughts, they're walking over to someone like you and messing with your dreams, so, like, there
yeah.
gotta be a soul, right? Or stick or something.
Well, some of them know that, but some of them don't. It's like this thing of people think, oh, aliens are like super intelligent. No, no,
But isn't
they
that
have like
interesting to think
skills, but
about, like, their life? Like, okay, so we talk about us, right, and reincarnation, and we're like, "Oh, we come back as a human, come back." But then you start talking about aliens, and, like, it's weird to be like, "Okay, wait a minute, does that mean that you could go live in an alien's body and then they have their own version of, like, struggling, like, what is this place? And what are these humans that
yeah.
we see all the time?" And then they go over and, like, they're so strange, and, like, what do they believe, and why do they believe that? And but then he goes back to his mom and, asks his mom, like, "Hey, what do you know about humans?" And they're like, "Oh, humans aren't real, son. They're made up projections in a" right? And it's like, well, it's weird to think about, is that thing a soul? It has to be, right? And when it
Yeah,
passes away, what happens? What is it thinking? And can you come
probably
back as
getting to the
another alien?
same conclusion as us.
Probably, right? You would
Yeah,
imagine.
yeah. And so you have like groups of aliens, entities that are probing for information in these other life forms, us, through our dreams. And that doesn't make it very believable because people think dreams are related. You must be dreaming it. But when it happens to an astral projectioner, they're like, able to notice these types of things. And it keeps happening. And it doesn't just happen to the astral projectioner, but to their family too. Last time I was harassed by a group of aliens, they harassed my wife and they harassed my kid. They came to and they were having nightmares too, yelling in their dreams. And then they'd
Wow.
wake up and like always, without fail, if it was one of us, it was all of us. Either one at a time or all at the same time. And the same accounts of what they look like. In the astral plane at times, especially the tall brown ones, they were weird looking. Like their heads were like sharp, pointy, then kind of dome-like with very big black eyes, but they were more, um, I guess, this way up than angular. Barely see their mouth. It was long, but like their flesh was like folded in to itself here and there on the lips, so like their lips kind of disappeared in the cracks. Pretty long faces, black from here down because they had like, I want to say, some kind of an outfit on. They look
They're
traditional.
consistently they look like this is a specific type of
This is a
being, right?
specific type,
Okay.
yeah,
That
and
you
they have
see
the
often.
ability to shapeshift in the say astral plane in this aspect of the field. Um, and they at times took on the appearance of my wife. They
What?
can't get the eyes right. They always get their eyes wrong. Yellow, moving around, weird,
Very
smiling,
weird.
and she's 5'3", so all of a sudden it would like lose its composure and grow. And now this thing is towering over me. I'm like, Oh, okay. Same thing happened to her, but it would take on my, my form. And what's funny was I didn't tell her the last time that this happened to me, that this thing took on her appearance. I kept it a secret for a day. And then the next day she told me the same thing happened to her. She just came out with it. I was like, it's funny. That actually happened to me um the day before. And so they have this ability, whether it's shape shifting or moving through space, which at this point I'm thinking they have some of them have control and or awareness of the field because they're able to use it to get in contact with us. And that's when you see them phasing through a wall, materializing in front of you. Um, a lot of them like to be invisible. They can like phase themselves out of sight, even in the astral planes. You will know something's in the room, but you can't see it unless you have the ability to like force yourself to see them. And then all of a sudden, there's be there with this. You have shorter ones that are like 5 foot tall, very skinny, tend to put crystals everywhere and just play with the furniture. Um, and then you have really, really small ones that I don't like at all because they're
What?
all so mischievous. Yeah, yeah. You get like small, tiny gray ones, small, tiny brown ones. They
Okay, but
also
when you
kind of
say
do
they're
weird shapes.
mischievous, what does that mean? Like, give me examples.
It's like, when they say they don't have a soul,
Mhm.
like you don't want to fall asleep in a room full of these things. You might wake up with your insides out or something. And they're not doing it because they're evil, but they're just curious, like there are things like that too. Unfortunately, this is why I don't like aliens because I don't trust them. I don't know which type I'm getting. Um, if you have the ability to probe their minds, do it. If you ever encounter one, try to reach into their mind and see where they're at, because then you'll know. But from my experience, the majority of interactions have been negative. I know I'm going to sound crazy. That people will listen to
That
it,
doesn't
but
sound
no.
crazy at all, but I think it's fascinating. Now it makes me like, okay, so what does that mean? Like, why wouldn't it be the other way, that the majority of interactions are positive, right? Isn't that weird to think? Like, why are they all mainly negative? What does that mean?
I don't know. I'm sure people will have, because I've told this story before in way more detail because it's been ages since then. So I'm sure I've like messed it up. I have videos on my channel on it in detail, but I'm sure I'm going to rub people the wrong way because I have people commenting under those videos, hey, aliens aren't like this, or I've had experiences that are so much nicer. I'm like, it's a big
Right.
world, like there's a lot of things that have different agendas, and I've had experiences with some beings that seem positive. Sure. But the ones that kind of have me say, no, thank you, indefinitely, are these alien ones. And this is also why I don't reach out to spirit guides. Reach out to spirit guides, just speaking out into an empty room, speaking out to anything that can hear you. In the Bible, they say not to pray using words because things can hear your prayers. They're going to like show up like the devil, essentially. Um,
What do you mean don't pray in
and
words? Like, out loud like this, like talking?
yeah, don't pray out loud because your prayers reach from where you are to the stars and back. So anything in between can hear your prayers. And so you may not get God picking up the phone. You may get something else. And so there's this way of praying where you're not using words. You're using feeling and intention. And it cuts through all the noise. Instead, the field, I should say, I'm going to definitely run with this 100% here. The field catches the prayer and it makes the change in your life. Because many cultures around the globe seem to rely on this or fall back on this idea of the field being the intelligence behind everything, which we are a part of too. And so, yeah, they say not to pray using words because things will catch it, you
That's
know?
so fascinating, man. It makes me think about, like, again, all these beings that everyone talks about, the Nordics, I'm trying to think what other ones. Gosh, why am I blanking on them? Nordics, there's
Arcturians,
yeah, there we go, Arcturians.
Blue
Um,
Avians.
yeah, it's like, okay, so why it does make you think about Earth, like, what's going on here? Because why are they coming and messing around? Because if it was just a place to that's where I get a little lost. I go, wait, if it's just a place to, like, come and experience yourself, like, why is there all this manipulation? Like, why are they messing around with people? Like, why would you have a moment where this little thing is standing above you, messing with your dreams?
Well, I
I don't
guess
know,
it'll
it's
be
just
like the
weird.
CIA thing that we were talking about earlier. You have the psychics that are coming to these understandings that
Mhm,
things are bigger than what we're doing. Then you have the people in the room that really just want to get the information. And so you have the what the field is doing, what life is doing, and then you have the things inside, that have their own little agendas and
mhm.
actually play a role in the sum of everything, I'm sure. Um, but yeah, aliens.
So when you say that you think we'll encounter them someday, would you assume it's more of a positive version of that? Not necessarily like, because let's be real, if they're real, which for I think we both are in that they're real, but sh- they're so more advanced than we are right now in our current human state. We're maybe equal in the grand scheme of things, but if they wanted to take over, they would have done that. Like, if they wanted to attack us, they would have done that. It'd be, like, really easy to attack us.
There has to be something getting in the way. I think when you look at different types of alien species as well, you're looking at ones that have more of an advantage, or disadvantage, depending on which ones you're looking at. Like with the reptilians or the insectoids that are
That's what I
underground,
mean. What do they want with us? Why? Why? Like, you start talking about galactic federations, right? And you're like, what the
Yeah,
heck? So there's all these different beings that meet up somewhere. Is that real? And then I talk to people who are dead serious. They're like, it's real. And I'm like,
yeah.
it just, what does that
I
mean
think it's
then?
one of those things like you were talking about earlier, where it's like aliens not existing is kind of weird that someone would think that because the odds are so obvious. Well, the odds are still quite up there when it comes to factions, groups getting together. I mean, why wouldn't that happen? Um, I like the idea of space not being where they traverse, but actually folding space to get to us. So not really using spaceships, but actually it's easier for them to bend space to just walk through a doorway and they'd be like, "Hey, humans." Um, yeah,
There's this book called Man Being. I don't know if you've read it or have heard about it.
man being.
It's literally MAN Being, Being. Um, One of the most fascinating books I've ever read. Whether it's real or not, I don't know, but it's a good read. And they talk about this place and like essentially a lot of what we're doing here is learning how to use our creativity and learning like because on the other side thoughts become things really fast and they talked about there's this realm or something that you have to get past that is ran by like these darker beings. They call them Archons, right? And there's this concept introduced in that book that I found super fascinating because I found it to be true in my life. So again, but that doesn't mean it's true. It was true in my life. But the moment I kind of tossed religion aside, right? I was raised a Christian. That when I did that, and I was kind of in this like no man's land where it was like I'm trying to figure out what's real, what's not real, and I didn't know what to believe. That was some of the like the darkest things in my life happened in those moments, and it said that these beings operate in they can't operate in light, so they operate in the dark, which would make
Yeah,
sense that like when you're in this state of like yeah, it's just fascinating to think about. And yeah, they were just saying that a lot of times what we're doing here is preparing to get back to that moment where because you got to get through them. That's what the book says. You got to get through them. You should read it.
sounds familiar.
It's a
The getting
fascinating book.
through them. Do you mean like
Like
there are
okay, so
obstacles to overcome here so that
like
you
the
can
place
grow
that we call
spiritually?
heaven, right? They call
Mm.
it. Gosh, I can't believe I'm forgetting the name of it, but um, it's this place of total and complete creativity. So whatever you want can be real
Mm.
in that state. And it's for us, it's when we pass away, a lot of us go to this place. And so some call it heaven, some call it could be whatever you want. And there's so much to explore. Like they all talk about it. And when I say they talk about it, these guys who wrote the book, they have ability to channel, right? And so they would channel these beings and really famous people would come through and consistent with their personality. So it was very interesting. These guys are like channeling these beings and like they would come through and talk about their life as a human and what their goal was and their mistakes and what they kind of learned as figuring this all out, and they would talk about all of them. They would pop in, and Ryan, you get a sense when you are listening to the reader and you're reading the words, they're not bullshitting, man. Like you could just tell that he's not trying to convince you of anything. And the way these beings would pop in with such unique personalities that were true to how they were um, when they were actually on Earth. But they would talk about how they're so excited for them because like what you're doing is so cool, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, we heard about you. We heard about these two guys that are making this book about what's really going on." And so like we want to be a part of it. We want to give our take on it. And essentially, though, your creativity, like that's a skill, right? To be
Mm.
able to learn how to um, have ideas on top of ideas, like this whole concept of Inception in that movie, right? Is like they were talking about how it's sort of like that there. And in order to get through, there's another realm. So I think it's the sixth density, is what they said, is a very, I could be wrong. It could be the fifth or sixth. But what I'm saying is you can hang out in this arena, this place of creativity. Lemuria is what it's called. That's what they called it.
Lemuria.
You, yeah. They're saying you can hang out
Interesting.
there and you can spend the time's not real, right? So like you could be there as long as you want, but eventually you got to go past. And they say why some of you keep reincarnating is because you haven't learned the skills yet, and the place to really learn that skill is on Earth. It's the perfect training ground for it because of the way it's set up here. It's like they're saying it's perfect for that, and so. And then not
Mm.
only that, but like you'll get lost and like your beliefs carry on with you. So like if you get lost in the trap of religion and that there's a heaven and hell, that belief when you pass on, it'll play into your role. And then you might have to do all kinds of things to unlearn that. And then just when you think you kind of gotten back to a place of like, hey, this is what this really is, your skill of creativity and your ability to traverse to get past that zone. It's not there, and so you got to come back, and then you could get trapped again, right? And so they're just talking about how it's like when you're there and you're ready to move on, you have to face them. There's no way around it. You have to
Mm.
face them, and they called them Archons. That's what they called them. And they said, and all of them is very interesting. All of them were like, they preferred not to mention their name. They're like, they almost all were like kind of hesitant to. They talked about them, but they're like, I don't want to talk about them too long. Just kind of what you just did with aliens, exactly like that. They're like, mm, but they all were like kind of nice to about them. They're like, look, they're just lost. That's how they kept describing them. They're like
Ah,
you and I, but they're just in darkness, and they have
yeah.
to get saved too. But I think what's really fascinating is they talked about this moment in time where the portals will open up again. That's what they kept saying. And trust me, I know how this sounds. I know how this sounds. But for someone like you, right, you've actually been out of your body. You know that there's more to this than just
Oh
it's
yeah.
not that crazy. So they're
It's
saying
not
there's
that
this
crazy.
moment where this portal will open, and they were saying to not eject um, from your body in that moment. And they said that most of us here, most of us, if you're on Earth, you are you already have these beings attached to you. They're saying they're like most of you it are already consumed, right? And these these dark beings that are like living off of you, they also want to get past, but they can't get past. And when this portal opens up, they're just basically saying, do not leave your body in that moment, because if they swapped, that is a moment where it could be bad news. And it's very interesting that they talked about this because it does, in a weird, tiny way, link up with someone like Jesus who talked about, we messed his teachings up, right? Like we totally butchered it.
Mm.
But he did talk about this moment, right, where you would be in eternity, and it makes you wonder if, like, wait, was he talking about this moment in time when this happens? And if you're not aware, it could be, I don't know. It's just it's a fascinating read, Ryan. And I got to tell you, as someone I'm just a curious person. I'm open to entertaining things. I'd like to think that I'm not super gullible. I probably am, right? Just probably susceptible, but I have to tell you, when I was reading this, man, I couldn't put it down, and there's something about it that I was like, "This feels, hmm." It at very least feels like there's something to what is being said.
Yeah.
Is it the whole truth? Probably not. Like most things, it's probably in the middle. But
Mm.
these guys are basically their whole journey, and they're on their I think they're on volume 5 right now.
Hmm.
But they're saying that there's gonna be this moment in time, and we all need to prepare for it. And if you're here right now, like someone like you're likely someone who wants to help, and you probably came down to do that. Um,
I've heard of
that's
this in
fascinating, man.
pieces. I've heard parts of this,
Mhm.
um, especially the things being on people. And I've had experiences. They're vague at the moment. Um, all I remember is wanting to make a video, but I chose not to because I didn't freak people out. I remember making the thumbnail for it. It was like some kind of zombie fungus on a person in the thumbnail because I had come to this conclusion at the time that everyone had something on them and they just had no clue, absolutely no clue. They weren't aware of it, and it's so hard to remember what I was doing at the time. But I would leave my house and I could look at people and just tell that something was moving through them. And during that time, I was doing a lot of channeling, and I stopped since then. So people, please don't hit me. I since then stopped, but I was doing a lot of channeling, and I was really plugged in and open to things, good and bad, which is why I stopped. Um, and I wish I had at least made the video and put it somewhere on my computer so I could see what I was talking about. Because now I try to go back to that content in my mind, and it's shut out. Like I moved away from it so hard. Like I sprinted away from that idea because at the time a lot was going on because the channel was open. That I would see apparitions in my house, and a woman would just be like this, and then she would just disappear in front of me slowly. I'm like, no, 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 no. Or I would wake up and see a wolf in the back garden, a matted
Whoa.
black wolf, or a cow with no eyes, a red cow. And it was like the worlds were just merging and becoming strange, just being told to do things by entities. Because when you open a channel, all types of things come through. But it gave me this weird ability, I think, at the time, to notice when someone had things on them, because I had them on me, and I had since removed them. Um, but again, it's still a little spotty up there. It's weird.
I'm gonna read this for you if I can, because it's if you still got a little time. I got probably another 15 minutes, but
Sure, we
um,
can end it then in 15.
so this is what it says. It's Man Being is a transcript of a conversation that began in June of 2018. Authors Dramos and Bohemius received communication from beings outside of Earth plane density and have assembled that knowledge for public awareness. The Man Being material reviews how light deprivation has prevented humans from accessing higher dimension realities, and how mankind's ascension has been obstructed through false religions and spiritual beliefs. The perpetual hoarding and concealment of ancient knowledge by powerful organizations has prevented mankind from transcending the reincarnation cycle. This dissemination is an exploration into the origin of the human race and events that led their abandonment on Earth. It's a rescue mission, right? Is how they talk about it. Um, I really think you should read it just for it's a good read. Like, I mean, it's just one of those where you're like, wow, that's fascinating. But when they get into like volume 4, I think, yeah, volume 4 is the one where it's just all about that moment coming, apparently,
Uh, yeah,
which
I will
is
see. I will see. I'm stuck on it's been like over a year. It's been almost 2 years. I've been trying to make some headway in the book, The Life and the Teachings of the Masters in the Far East, Volume 2. Keep getting stuck, and then I get distracted.
I hear you, man. I hear you.
But that one in particular, I'm sure if it's meant to be, I'm going to end up with it in my
Yeah, I mean,
hands.
look, if it makes sense, read it. But it's one
Yeah.
of those books that I was like, man, that is interesting to think about how that all plays out. Um, I talked to another guy on this channel, and it's like, again, this is where it all kind of gets mixed together, and it's like, it's not so black and white as people think. But
Yeah.
this other guy talking about, his name is Raw Cloud, and he's talking about how the Navy has a whole secret space program, right? Like they're called like super soldiers or something. But again, that we've had this technology for years, and it just makes you smile, and you're like, "What is going on?" Like, what he swears that he's like, and I looked this guy up as much as I could Google, right? And the things he sends me on outside of just our interview, I'm like, "Whoa, dude, this guy doesn't seem like he's bullshitting. He's so
So the super
serious."
soul, in what way are they being made super?
No, it's like, he's saying that we've had access to time travel for a long time. The Navy in particular is, which has been backed up through guys like Jesse Michaels and his channel. They've talked about the Navy. The Navy has a secret program, and he says he was a part of it, and he's talking about, but he has friends who have like literally died from talking about this stuff. And you go to his channel, it's called Raw Cloud, and he looks serious, man. He doesn't look like he doesn't come across as someone who's lying. He could be, of course, right? Like anything, but um it's a secret, it's a program, and he's just saying that like he time travels all the time is what he says, and he's
What's
like,
he
there's a
called?
whole game going on that you guys don't even realize that humanity is currently going through. And he's
His
like, our
channel's
governments
name.
know.
What's his channel's name again? You said Raw.
It's called Raw Cloud,
Raw Cloud.
RACLOUD.
The Epstein files recently being released
Mm-hmm.
made a lot of things that people thought were just not real. Like what they would do, or what would I don't know what I could say without. And so it's starting to be that these things aren't so impossible anymore, and I think that's just going to keep happening. The more we say things, it's just going to become normal to those who would usually just be like, "No, it's not real," and then aliens will be walking around. I can't find this channel.
See, sketchy. It's Raw Cloud Law of One.
Oh,
And he's got like a white hat
there he
on,
is.
white hoodie.
I see.
I mean, but I've talked to this man a couple times. I got a new episode coming out with him, and it's just he's talked about how it's, it's affected his family. It's been a whole thing, and he's like, he talked about the Tic Tac. He said specifically that Tic Tac ship that everyone sees on the news. He's like, that's ours, and he's like, we've had this stuff for a long time. He's like, there's a whole program of us in the Navy that we've time traveled. He just says he goes on missions, and it's like you hear that and you go, dude, what are you talking about? But you hear enough, and then it does make you go like, huh. I
Well,
mean,
there are some cities involving time travel, like the ability to go back in time,
there's like a
possibly
city called
forward.
Neo Soul that I've heard, like that other people have talked about. Genie Dot talks about it. The Alchemist 369, he talks about it. There's like a city beyond Antarctica apparently that's like a real place. And again,
What city?
it's so easy to throw this stuff around. Is it true? I don't know, but I will tell you that you talk to enough people like you and all the conversations I've had, and you go like, I don't know, man. This world is weird, and there's a
It's
lot of
weird.
weird stuff as is. And how can I just say it's not true? I mean, it's got to be
I
careful. You don't want to go all in, right, on certain things.
Yeah,
But
they're all in, but I
no.
I think learning how to do something like astral projection is a way of finding out if that bit it's real, right? And
Yeah,
then you expose yourself to a little bit more, then you start to come to your own conclusions. And then vet your own conclusions. Make sure your own conclusions are rock solid. And even if they're wrong, allow yourself some grace, a grace period there. But then learn again not to like project your own assumptions onto an experience. Be nice and sharp with it all, and then just record everything. At least now you know. If you feel like you need to share, share. It'll be awesome. Um, and then sure enough, the world will become less crazy to you. It is very weird, extremely weird. You may become kind of weird too, but at least you know what's up,
mhm.
right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
The the things that we talk about in movies, it's, people say all the time, that's just in movies. I'm like, brother, this world is so much weirder than movies. And by the way, a movie was created by someone's mind. And so if you think that that's the extent of weird, you got another thing coming, because
And
this is a
there's
very strange place.
movies are coming from experiences anyway. They usually do it. They're just put together in a certain type of way for entertainment value.
Mhm.
But if you look at the writer or the director and you find out what was the muse for this particular movie, The Matrix, it was Jesus Christ. You heard about that? You know
I
that?
think so, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I think I've watched something on that.
Yeah. A woman wrote a book on Jesus Christ being resurrected. And I can't remember the whole spiel, but there was some time travel involved, and that book was stolen. Well, the idea was stolen by the brothers that made The Matrix, and they split the book right in half and made Terminator and The Matrix out of it.
Mm,
And so, like, everything is amused for something nowadays. And I think it hits hard with us because we somewhat resonate with it. You know, there's some truth in the story.
mhm.
It's because it's coming from the sources that made the movie in the first place. You know. Well, no,
Ye
I'll let you go. What was you gonna say?
alright. No, I was just gonna say, man, there's a reason, right, that that movie's so popular, and I think it's because I think there's a piece of us, right, that deep down, yes, it's entertaining, but there's probably something attached a little more that we all go like, "Wait a minute, hmm, think
Hmm,
there's truth to this a little bit."
interesting.
Um, hey, man, like I said, really appreciate you, dude. This was fun. We'll have to do it again sometime. I love
Yeah,
just a good compliment. These are my favorite podcasts where we could just talk. There's no, like, major agenda, so I love that, man. I appreciate you, dude.
yeah. I only had 2 interviews that were like that. Then that threw me through a curveball first. Like, that was weird. One guy, he pretended to have an ability, because he saw I was interviewing people with abilities, and he tried to pose as someone who had an ability just to get me on board with an interview. We had an interview, and the entire time I'm like, "You don't sound like someone that has this ability that you say you have, right?" And then at the end, he trolled me. He literally pretended to do it, and then obviously he couldn't do it. And then the
Mhm.
whole reason why he had me on the call was just to say, "Hey, don't believe anything that anyone tells you." And I'm like, that was
That
kind of
guy
shitty,
sucks.
you know? I mean, yeah, that
Yeah,
wasn't
that guy
very cool.
sucks.
And that wasn't. I just I felt like he screwed up because we had such a good talk. You know, we related on certain things.
Yeah, like
I
the
didn't
joke
feel
went
like
through got
he
personal, and he was like, "Ah, shoot."
Yeah, I feel
Makes you
like it
feel
kind of
bad.
fell flat and he felt bad.
Hey,
Yeah,
man, well, this was the purest of intentions, brother. I just wanted to say what's up and talk to you about what you do. So I will link your website and your channel and all that down below.
yeah,
And we'll do it again,
appreciate it.
man. Do it again
Yeah,
sometime.
will do. And I would like to, if you wouldn't mind, take a snippet of this video, put on my channel.
Oh, man,
Is
that'd
that
be
okay?
awesome. Yeah, 100%.
This this is a certain part that I've been wanting to tell my audience for a while that I've never gotten around to, and I said it here. I just take that and throw it there.
Yeah, whatever you
And
need, man. If
then
you want me to send you the file, I could send you it so you could have it, but, or you could
yeah,
just do it from
I want to
this
use it
screen.
all. In this way as well, you know, they'll get to see you, my audience will get to see you. I'm sure they'll love the conversations you have. Um, just like yourself, I tried doing different videos on my channel, and then it kind of messed everything up when it came to my viewership. My hardcore supporters, they like this kind of conversation, so they'll get a lot out of your channel because I look through your thumbnails. It's all the stuff they enjoy, you know?
Cool. All right, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, dude.
take care.
All right,
It's been
brother.
fun.
Till next time, dude.
Until
Cheers.
next time. Bye.
Bye.